Hello and welcome to a special edition of Horseplayer's Happy Hour. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatale, coming to you from the little house on the east side of Windsor. It's actually more like the little flat on the east side of Windsor here for Royal Ascot in this lovely little duplex apartment. Perrin and Susan are spending a couple of days at Hever Castle in another part of England. So I'm left here to my own devices. Super fun day today out at Royal Ascot, and just couldn't have had more fun. Had some win and you're in action in the form of the Norfolk Stakes, and boy, did I think that was an interesting result with the horse that won, Stronghold, because this is a horse I couldn't have come up with in this race, because I mean, I know the horse had form on turf, but when you look at this horse's pedigree, I was thinking dirt. Not this time on the top. You had Liam's Map in the female family. I'm looking at this horse and I'm thinking Breeders' Cup, yeah, but Breeders' Cup juvenile on the dirt more than I'm thinking about, the fact that this is a win and you're in race for the juvenile turf sprint. We'll see what they decide to do with Shareholder, but very, very cool horse who really ran an incredible race there in the Norfolk win and you're in action, one of several races this week. Also really interesting win and you're in implications from the King's Stand the other day when we saw Asphora win from Australia. What's really interesting about Asphora is she is 5 furlongs and they don't think she wants to go a step over 5 furlongs. So what that means is there isn't a race at the Melbourne Carnival for her. Now, normally we don't see many Australians at the Breeders' Cup. I can't even remember the last time, maybe Strawberry Road way back in the day. And that's because there's so many potentially better races for them down under, back home during the same time of year. But for Asphora, if she only wants 5, why not take up this Breeders' Cup win and you're in invitation and get a little extra international flair? We're so used to terrific international flair at the Breeders' Cup in terms of horses from Ireland and Great Britain and France and Japan. Let's add Australia to the mix this year out at Del Mar. How cool will that be? So PTF here. We're going to be joined by JK at some point. If you're in the comments, holler at me. Let's talk. Sheila is in there and says hello. I'll say hello back to her. We've got some other special guests. I sent out a few invites. We might do a little bit of a mashup with a new show that we have cooking that I'll do a little bit of a spiel about in a minute or two. It's going to be called the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge Diaries. But we have our first guest waiting in the green room. We'll bring him in to start things off. He was on the show last week. He did an incredible job helping people with their picks. That's kind of his bag, is you tell him what you like, he'll tell you how to bet it. He's the author of A Better Way of Thinking. He's Matt Miller. Matt, how are things? What's going on, buddy?
I'm doing great. Wearing my usual uniform at this point.
I'm glad you dressed up for us, my friend. That makes one of us.
Well, look, if I'm being honest, it was about 5 minutes ago I got a text from you with the link to this. And we had certainly talked about doing it. I just wasn't 100% sure we were on, but I'm actually following the tournament and figured, what the heck? I'm happy to get on and talk to a friend and help some people if possible.
I'm hearing a rumor you might be at the top of that leaderboard for Horseplayer Happy Hour. I'll dig and see. It didn't. Now maybe it was last week that I jinxed you by bringing this up. It didn't end up going the way that you wanted it to go, but it did start out that way. This is going to be fun. We got a lot of guests who are going to come in. We're going to do this sort of as a mashup with our first Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge Diaries show, which essentially just means I'm going to use this opportunity to film some stuff that we're going to repurpose because I'm smart like that, especially when I'm traveling to Royal Ascot and, time is of the essence. But it's great to see so many people there in the room here watching us. We want to help and we want to talk about these 3 races that we have coming up at Belmont at the Big A. I'm going to embarrass you, but also then allow you to make a serious point, Matt, about what your approach was to Horseplayer Happy Hour today.
Okay, so I'm seeing a couple friends in the comments already.
Another random selection top placing for Matt is what Jim has to say. And his tongue is planted in his cheek, but only a little.
So today's goal was this. I went to go do quick picks, but I found myself making too many adjustments. There were too many 20-to-1 shots. I got assigned your horse, Pete, I think on all 3 entries randomly. I don't like taking friends' horses.
Oh, right.
And so I went in and I made too many adjustments, and I felt I was trying too hard. So I backed it up and I decided to do color patterns. So I took I found that the number 6 didn't have any scratches. I took that across the board. I found a cool way to do 133, 133, where it's a bunch of cool letters and or a bunch of cool colors. And yeah, one of those happens to be in first place right now. That is not any claim of genius on my part. I cover this in detail in the book, but I believe deeply in what I'm saying. These tournaments are less about handicapping and more about finding unclaimed space that other people aren't taking. And I assure you, doing color patterns is far from the thought process of most people.
Now, if anybody out there is cursing, throwing things at the screen, etc., we should give them a little bit more background about you. Yes, the unclaimed space argument, very important to why you do this, but there's also an element of this, Matt, that is you wanting to support not just this fun horse players happy hour endeavor that we're involved in, but also the charities behind it. I'd like you to speak on that for a minute.
Oh, absolutely. And look, not everything in life has to be super serious or super ROI or profit based. I have this event scheduled. Again, it's another book reference, I guess, but it's scheduled on my calendar weekly. I wouldn't miss it. It's a chance to support In the Money. It's a chance to support the Breeders' Cup. It's a chance to support the charities that are the beneficiaries of the house cut. And it's a chance to have some fun with lots of recognizable names on the board. And so, okay, for my 3 shots that are relatively cheap for the budget I play, I don't mind having a good time with this. And yeah, I'm not going to get too deep into handicapping or whatever. I do think that game theory alone can get you there. And so far, 2 weeks into this, last week it was going well for a while and then fell apart. This week I have a better feeling about how this will finish up. We'll see.
Interesting. Does that mean you've looked ahead to the horses that you have?
No, I mean, and it's a great opportunity to talk about the format, but I think today, I'm looking, it's 160 entries, which means the top 16 essentially win the exact same prize. As cool as it is to be first versus 16th doesn't matter. And so as I'm looking at where I'm at with $41, yeah, there's only 3 races to go. So my guess is, unless people start hitting stuff like crazy, $41 might just survive without hitting something else. We'll see.
So in terms of, you're talking about, so there's 3 ways with Horseplayers Happy Hour, if you're new to us, that you can win a $10,000 Breeders' Cup betting challenge seat. One is the one that Matt just referred to. You finish in the top 10%. So does that mean, I haven't looked yet, I'll be honest, I didn't get back from Ascot. I'll tell you the whole story about where I've been, but hey, there was an intermediate stop.
Looks like Disney World.
These lovely beers from Two Flints Brewery right here in lovely Windsor. But I'm assuming that means we got 160, Matt, today?
160 on the button, yes.
Not a bad number. Down from last week's 200, but I probably could have done more to market it too. But anyway, the top 16, it's a traditional qualifier, which these happen all the time over at horseplayers.com or the sister site Horse Tourneys. You finish in the top position for short money, you can feed in to an event where you get the opportunity to win your $10,000 Breeders' Cup betting challenge seat. And that way is fine and good and great, but it shouldn't be the real reason why you're here in and of itself. It should be one of the reasons why you're here. But the reasons that I think are the most exciting are that we've also added $20,000 to the pot in the form of 2 Breeders' Cup betting challenge seats. One that goes to the overall winner of the Horseplayers Happy Hour Tour. So throughout the 15 weeks that we're running, top 7 scores, whoever has the best
Ladies
score.
And gentlemen, your attention, please. In this upcoming 7th race, on advice of the track veterinarian,
opportunity
to scratch the 7.
Scratch here.
Bella Banker.
Without the 7.
Bella Banker is a late.
I don't know if you can hear that over the. I don't know how this audio works, but Chris just announced that the 7 is out here. But the overall tour winner wins one, and then we have a playoff system. And I love this playoff system, Matt, because what it does is give an opportunity, even if you just participate 1 week If you finish in the top 2, you qualify for our playoffs. Also, if you finish in the top scores on the tour, it depends on, I forget, my quick math is evading me after a long day of drinking Aska, but if you are among the top finishers on the tour, let's put it that way, you qualify for the playoffs. They're loading quick here. Matt, what horse did you go with in here? I know why you went with it, but I'm curious who you ended up with.
The leading entry has the 1 because it's the 1. I know one of my entries has all 6s, so let's just stop with those 2, and I'll root for those 2.
We'll talk more. We'll talk more about this. We don't want anyone to be offended by Matt's methodology in this one. I mean, the 1 looks extremely live to me. You got a horse that debuted on dirt, now coming back, the maiden claiming level for the first time. The last race, I would say, not as bad as it looks. Contesting a fast pace on the turf against much better. Now back in here against maiden claimers for the first time. The 9, a sizable favorite in this spot. I wonder how represented this one will be. Nay Jude, kind of a hilarious name. Second off the long layoff in this spot. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. That looks like probably short enough for me on Nay Jude. Not that I'd be anti the horse exactly, but we'll see how it turns out for you, Matt, here. And we will go back in a minute too, Chris, with the call, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about this stuff. But basically, play Horse Players Happy Hour every week. Excellent chance to participate in the $20,000 we've added to the prize pool, even if you just play 1 week, and your chances go way up if you play every week. Now, let's get it to Chris Griffin with the call.
Princess Becca, who's in front, in between horses now, pushing on through, is My Kind of Mischief to challenge. Shahana is at the rail, is now a close-up 4th. Gets past to the outside by Steppen Hawk is the gray who claims that 3rd position. Nay Jude is on the move from 5th. Down towards the inside in 6th is Latin Descente, is followed by Going for Glory, who's now a shared 6th and 7th. Further back is the Triller, Out of the Cloud. It's 2 across the racetrack now, head-and-head, 22 and 3 for the opening quarter mile. Steppen Hawk to the outside of Princess Becca. They're a clear 1-2. Nay Jude has made up a lot of ground, and here comes Nay Jude just looming up on the outside. My Kind of Mischief looks to have run nowhere to go, is right there in that 4th spot as they reach the top of the stretch, and it's still Princess Becca who's got plenty.
Becca has other ideas.
Becca has sprinted clear quickly, is up by 3 lengths, and look at this. Princess Becca is now opening up here in the late stages, was battling through those early fractions, but Princess Becca just striding away inside the final 16, no doubt. Princess Becca wins impressively. Princess Becca at 6-1. Nay Jude is in a photo there with an oncoming Going for Glory. Finishing 4th was Shahana.
Princess Becca looked like the heavy favorite in there. What a gigantic run. It's a maiden claimer. We're not going to get too excited, but certainly looked like an effort that wouldn't have been out of place in a maiden special weight event as far as that goes. Favorite maybe holds on for second, Matt. What do you think?
What was the number of the winner? Did you catch that?
Was it the 6?
No, so I didn't have it. I know it wasn't the 1 or the 6.
Okay.
I'm looking at the board to see how many people might have hit this, but
I see. I wasn't sure where you were going with that comment.
But I do think Nay Jude did get second. So
the 11 was the winner. Anybody going to make any particular moves up the leaderboard there?
So I'm going to botch names horribly. It takes until the 19th place person, Togo Travaglia.
Togo, yeah.
Come up with the 11.
Right. Togo is a loyal viewer and is watching, and you pronounce his name perfectly.
He is the only person out of the top 50 to have it. So again, now with 2 races to go, I get a teeny bit more confident, as should everybody else in that top 16. It just solidifies a little bit more. And okay, I mean, that race was essentially a non-event for the people towards the top of the board.
But you say a non-event, but it's really a positive event, right? I mean, when points get put on the board that people don't have, if you're already in a good position, that's a good thing. Oh, yeah. It reminds me of the old days so I really cut my teeth in contests in the $40 Santa Anita low roller contest, which has since become an online thing that it happens regularly with a partner who's not the official betting partner of Breeders' Cup. So I will not give them the free plug on the show. Sorry, Tyler, at all. But it was a funny format because when we had the opportunity to play in those contests, which was frequently for a while when I was working on the Winning Contest Player book, we would say, chalk, no problem. Like when something happened that didn't, we perceived it as to not move the needle. This is even more important than that because you can actually see on Horse Players and Horse Tourneys who people played. And when you know that didn't affect the top of the leaderboard, you're just one race closer to home.
Yeah, agreed. So as I'm looking, though, I mean, it's just so tight that I can't imagine many people are getting too comfortable yet. But okay, I mean, you got 7 races, and to have just miserably come not even close to picking the winner, to have that do no damage to you, and in fact, take one more opportunity away from everybody else. Yeah, terrific.
Matt, I'm going to send you to the green room for 5 minutes because I have an interview that I want to do with one of our BCBC Diaries players. This is a show that you'll be a part of at times too. But if you don't mind, I'm going to put you on ice for 5 minutes.
No problem. See ya.
That's about as happy of a man. He's letting us off real easy there. Now let me just see. I'm producing myself tonight, which means that sometimes getting the right people in the windows at the right time can be tricky. I'm somehow not seeing how to promote the person. I feel like my computer has frozen, which is.
Now you need me again.
Yeah, I might need you again. You might be called back into service, but this is so weird. I'm trying to do this and it's simply not working. Wow, that's really interesting. Matt, talk to the audience for 30 seconds while I leave this room and come back. How about that?
Well, just an open mic. That's terrific. Okay.
Actually, I can't even leave. I really don't know what's happening here. This is completely crazy. Wow, this is going to be an interesting show. It might just be you and me after all, Matt. Wow, this is weird. I have never seen this happen.
So who was it?
Well, I'm trying to bring in our friend Jackson, who's done such a good job for us on inthemoneypodcast.com. But I have a major tech issue right now where no button. I'm glad I'm still coming out. You can hear me, so everyone must hear me. But it's just very strange because I cannot do any of the tricks I usually do. Normally, I can put someone in the feed. I can take someone out of the feed. None of that is happening right now. So it's a little bit stressful. I'm not going to lie. Jackson, who's waiting in the green room, worst case, when this show is over, we'll bring it back and we'll come to you. But for now, I'm just going to try to figure this out. But no button. Like I can't even. You know what I can do? I can force quit. I'm going to force quit. Matt, keep talking. Okay. I'll be back as soon as I can. You've got this.
Great. I'll go over the leaderboard. No problem.
That works well, though. You're going to have to pronounce some names.
That's fine.
All right. We'll talk in a minute.
All right. All right. So at last, I have taken over the In the Money network. This was all part of my master plan. All right. So the Horse Players Tournament. Togo, nice job. You ended up taking over first by a couple bucks. So it's you in first, it's me in second at 44 and 41 bucks. It's funny, Jackson in the green room is in third at 35. So this whole thing feels rigged, if I'm being honest with you. Interesting, looking at fourth place, it's a great opportunity to talk about a strategy. Pete, I'm talking. Give me a second.
No, you go.
Dave Nichols, nice job, has entered this contest 3 separate times with an identical set of picks for all 3. You might say, why are you doing that? Well, I suppose one answer might be he might just be ultra confident in those picks. But let's look at it a different way. He is maximizing his chances given the format of the way this long-term tournament is set up. He's giving himself a really nice opportunity for points when it comes to that season-long leaderboard. So I suspect that people that believe in their opinions and want to really score out in those in this format, this is a really good way to do it. So yeah, good luck, Dave. I mean, if obviously you're going to all be in the top 16 or you're all not going to be, but at the moment things are looking good. Pete, you want me to keep going?
let me just chime in to say that if he is right, if you end up with a 1 or a 2 with those 3 entries, you're going to suddenly have a stranglehold, because the way this works for the tour points we were discussing is that the top 10, those are the ones that get tour points. So if you could finish the top 3, you'd get 10, 9, 8 in 1 week. You can get 27 points, which I should do the historical math to see what it takes to get you in the playoffs, what it takes to get you that overall seed. But suddenly in just 1 week of playing $60, you're putting yourself in a great opportunity to win 10,000. So I just wanted to underline what you were saying. I keep going through the top 10, and then I think I have this worked out now, and then we'll bench you and bring Jackson in.
All right, no problem. So and again, it's a different way to look at it. So from my perspective, and maybe it's funny because I tend to be the profit focused guy, I'm looking at this as fun. I put my picks out on Twitter. Right, it's colors, it's numbers, it's all that stuff. And here's someone that actually seems to have found a pretty good logical approach to potentially making money on this. I'm also looking at mutual friend of Pete and mine, Chris Couples. Right, and if all 3 are in the top 16, he'll get 2 entries in the Saturday tournament, and he'll get credited the 179 for the one they can't give him because there's only a maximum of 2. All right, quickly, back to the top 10. Sean O'Malley, Michael Domobile, friend of the show, I know, Max Schneff, and GT Nixon, another name I know well. So still 2 races to go, but I'd say, yeah, I mean, look, I'd say even if you're all the way down to 40th place, 50th place, depending on the prices you have, you're probably still very alive.
I love that. That was good work. I really threw you into the deep end there, and you did well. That makes me think that we have more opportunities, Matt, going forward for me to make you do work while I go get a beer. So that's a beautiful thing that I appreciate very much. Now, let me just get one more thing sorted, and then I see we have another guest in the green room that I'm very excited to talk about who just came in, Justin Mustari. But we're going to start off 5 minutes chatting with Jackson Muniz, and we're going to do that right now. We'll have you back in a minute, my friend. All right, let's bring him in now. BCBC Diaries. It's a new concept that we have cooking, a partnership with Breeders' Cup. And what we're going to do is cover the qualifying for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, not unlike the way I used to cover the BCBC and another tournament, the NHC, with my old employer, Daily Racing Form. But we're going to do it rather than with words. We're going to do it with pictures and with video. And all the way along, we're going to try to tell the best stories that are of people looking to chase that big prize that comes with winning a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. Let's next get to a man who's fulfilling the role of the up-and-comer, the person who has not played yet in the BCBC, but who has it as a big goal. He's done a great job for us the last couple of years covering racing over at inthemoneypodcast.com, various circuits. Jackson Muniz. Jackson, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Pete. I'm happy to be here. I'm a little jealous of you over an Ask It, but we're doing okay out here too.
Yeah, California is not such a bad place to be. That's your home base?
Yeah. So kind of a dead period right now with Santa Anita ending on Sunday, and now we got Los Al a couple weeks, and before we know it, it'll be Del Mar time. So.
And I know Del Mar, one of the places you'll be looking to focus on when it comes to your Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge qualification. Give me a little background about yourself, Jackson. What is your current job? How old are you? And where exactly do you live out there in California?
So I currently live in Orange County. So I'm kind of right between Santa Anita and Del Mar. I'm about an hour from each of them. I'm 24 years old. Right now I work for a timing company. So we work track meets, cross-country meets, 5Ks, 10Ks, that kind of thing. So I'm one of the head timers for that company. And I actually found out pretty recently that the company we buy equipment from is the same company that Churchill Downs buys all their cameras from. So I thought that was pretty cool to find out. And I've been doing it for a few years now, and I just recently found that out. So I thought that was pretty cool. They use the same photo finish technology.
Tell me about your relationship with the Breeders' Cup and the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge specifically. Am I correct? You've not played in the BCBC yet?
I have not. And honestly, I didn't even know what it was until about 2 or 3 years ago when I started listening to your guys' show. And you guys were, you guys talk about all the time how great of a contest it is. It's probably the best opportunity there is. And especially for the big money contest where you can bet $10,000 on a win bet and not affect the pari-mutuel pools at all, which is a big difference between a lot of these other big time contests. So that's the big appeal, plus the $700,000 prize that comes with winning it. That'd be pretty cool too, I think. So that's pretty appealing to me.
I know that you're interested in trying to get in through our Horseplayer Happy Hour tour, but when it comes to your overall plan to qualify, we haven't talked about this. One of the things we're going to do on these BCBC Diary show is talk to people like Matt Miller and Sean Borman and get advice for you. But going in, do you have a hypothesis about what the best way to qualify is?
I definitely want to try to do it through these. Obviously, I want to do it through Horseplayer Happy Hour if I can. Just it's a great cause and it's a good way to qualify with added money. But I also would like to try to qualify through these live tournaments too, because that's the way that the Breeders' Cup betting challenge works. It's not pick and praise or these $2 win plays. It's you're betting your bankroll into these races. I'd like to try to do it through Del Mar. I know they have the little Red Feather one, has a BCBC one that's fairly lower budget. And obviously Del Mar is my home track. I'm more familiar with that circuit. So that'd be ideal, but I think we got to take a better look at what's coming up in the forecast for as far as what contests are offering the BCBC prizes.
One thing I'd suggest right away, especially if you're looking for action, I don't know how often you play, but the sister site of horseplayers.com, horsetourneys.com, will have opportunities for you potentially to qualify into the other two Del Mar contests that are happening. I think the Little Red Feather one, as you mentioned, LRF Cares, absolute no-brainer. And you want to get in that sooner than later because that one does sell out. But Pacific Classic Day, and then also the one that happens, I think it's the second weekend of the meet. You can find all the information for sure on dmtc.com. I would think about trying to qualify into there if I were you. Is that something that's on your radar?
Yeah, I actually did take a crack at it already. I think a couple weeks ago they had one. The feeder to the big feeder. I think I want to say $400 for each individual feeder contest to the big one. So definitely got to try to pick my spots with those ones. They're more on the pricier side for my budget right now. But definitely want to try to qualify for that one. And that one's challenging. Like I said, the Del Mar one itself, I think it's a $6,000 bankroll. And as I mentioned, the Breeders' Cup one, you're not really moving the needle when you're making these $10,000 bets. But if Friday at Del Mar, you definitely would be with a $6,000 win bet or daily double or whatever it is you're trying to do.
You got to pay attention. Maybe before once you qualify and get in there, somebody who's really good at pool math, who has agreed to help us out on these BCBC Diary shows, Matt Miller might be a good person to talk with, a former BCBC champion himself. Before I let you get out of here, Jackson, I want to ask you about your favorite Breeders' Cup memory. And maybe when it comes to this final show, we'll even roll some tape for it. What's your favorite Breeders' Cup race you've seen?
By far, it's the 2009 Breeders' Cup Classic. I was 9 years old. My whole family were giant Zenyatta fans. We'd been seeing her for a couple of years at that point. And it was a huge test. I mean, you had the Derby winner, you had the Belmont winner, you had the best older horses, you had the best, some good turf horses, you had Euros in there. She didn't want to go in the gate. And then there was the whole, I think it was Quality Road, threw a fit for like 10 minutes at the gate. And, they come around the turn and she's still dead last. And Trevor Denman's like, oh, if she wins this, she'll be a super horse. And as soon as he says that, she starts making her move and she starts coming. And then she cuts the outside. We were home for this race. I had a really important soccer game to go to instead of the Breeders' Cup. One of the biggest regrets of my life. But anyway, she comes around, gets the outside.
9. Give yourself a break.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sure we woke up the entire neighborhood. I mean, we were screaming. It was great. And then she won. It was awesome. I watched that replay probably 40 times that night and woke up early next morning, watched it another 40 times. And it's by far my favorite memory of the Breeders' Cup. She was awesome. She cemented my horse racing fandom for sure for the rest of my life. So
how many times have you watched it since? Another 40 or more than that?
I'll watch it at least 20 times a year. So it's great. Anytime I get a bad beat, I just need a feel good moment. I just go watch Zenyatta's Classic. It's my favorite by far.
Jackson, we're going to be checking in with you nearly weekly on your quest to qualify for the BCBC. This was a wonderful beginning, though, my friend. Appreciate you coming on with us tonight.
Sounds good, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Wow. Tough. Justin Mustari, you've got a tough act to follow, my friend, but we're going to bring you in straight away. Justin has made such a mark. And Justin, if you don't mind, we'll produce you here for a second, but turn your iPhone or iPad to the side so you can fill up
This way.
That's
All
it. Yeah, that was it. Just give it a sec. Oh gosh, do you have some setting on there where it's not going to let
Let's
you?
see. Oh, here
Yeah,
we go. We can change this.
Yeah, that's it. Go into settings and there it is. There it
There
is,
we
my
go.
friend.
We're golden.
Next up on the show, very happy to welcome in a young man who has a lot of accomplishments in the handicapping contest space. He is an NHC champion. He wowed us all with his performance at the final table of the World Horseplayers Tour. He's also had a lot of success in the BCBC itself. Justin, let's start with that. Run me through the big finishes you've had in the BCBC to date.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. But yeah, I think maybe my first contest of the BCBC was in 2017. I ended up finishing 5th in the contest, and I think it was, I want to say I maybe had a try or something, $1,200, $1,000 try that got me back, I don't know, 70 or 80 grand, and I ended up finishing 5th. So that was one of the first times I really had a cash in a contest. And then recently, 2022, I think I finished 13th. And I think I was around 40 something thousand. And then with a little more prize money, probably around 60. And then this last year, 6th place. And I think I cashed for like 80 something thousand and ended up with like about 160 all said and done.
Not too bad. Of those races that you hit big in the BCBC, which one would you say is your favorite?
Well, so both cashes I had that were big scores were both doubles. So there's 2 races attached to that. In 2021 was Caravel, when Caravel went off at like 42-1 and goes wire to wire at Keeneland. And then I played a double to Cody's Wish, so which is another great story. That was a crazy race. He only beat Cyberknife by a head that day, and I think I cashed for 47,000 on that double. So that one, that's a crazy one. And then last year I had another double off of No Balls, which is owned by Patricia's Hope, which is a family friend of ours. Ravelli trained the horse, which is a good friend of ours as well. He wins at 12-1. I think I had a $2,000 double off of him to Elite Power, and I got back 82,000 roughly on that one.
Let's go back to Caravel. That was a very clever one. We did have some love for Caravel on the In the Money Media Network. Jessica Paquette, big fan of that horse from the get-go. But I mean, when I look back at that race, I think of, what Golden Pal was supposed to do versus what he did.
Yeah.
What did you like about Caravel going into that race? Or was it really just a question of her credentials were too good to be that big of a price?
Yeah, definitely value-wise, crazy number. And Golden Pal was obviously one of the best sprinters potentially ever. And I did not like the way Golden Pal broke in his previous race, and just thought, hey, these are races where you get crazy value. In sprint races, if nobody breaks perfect, you don't have a chance to win. So I took a shot, but I thought I was taking a 15-1 shot on Caravel, and I'm getting 42-1 on that. So the horse obviously breaks perfect and then goes on and wins 4 or 5 more races again after that. So definitely way too good a value there.
We're thrilled to have you with us on this BCBC Diaries project. Curious to know, do you have a particular plan in mind of how you're going to qualify this year? Are there certain tournaments you have sort of circled on the calendar that you're going to be playing in?
Yeah, in about a week and a half, Hawthorne hosts the best contest, no entry fee. I think on Saturday, they're not giving a BCBC. I think they're giving away NHC only. But Sunday, another $500 contest. I think they're giving away 1 BCBC to the winner. And then they are also hosting the Hawthorne Invitational, which is, I think, 60-ish players throughout the country. And you have to be invite only, and they'll give away a BCBC there. So I'm planning to play that whole weekend.
It'd be great to see how you make out there at Hawthorne. They do a great job, those rules in Illinois, and the fantastic job the team does with having all those prizes added. Definitely one of the ones I would suggest to people to travel to. So you're already, handicapping contest royalty with the NHC win. What would it mean to you personally, though, to be able to add a BCBC to your resume?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way the format is set up, where it's all live money, is how I learned to play the game, which is how most of us have up until Horseplayers, Horse Tourney started playing mythical $2 win play. So that's the way I learned how to play, learned how to find value that way, and how I worked my way into the NHC in the first place. I played doubles and tries at Hawthorne, and that's how I ended up getting myself to the NHC. And that's definitely, I would say, more of my forte, but obviously I did end up winning the NHC. So there's that.
There is that.
Yeah.
And that was such a great story too. You know, obviously your father, your mentor in this game. I love the idea that you guys had a disagreement at the final table, and you went with your gut and you got the money. What a great story that was.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the BCBC is something that is unlike the NHC, where you have to qualify your way and there is no purchase price, where there's a lot of people who do, like, what you want to call it, chase the NHC. You're playing in a lot of events, but there are probably way more opportunities than is the BCBC. So I'm not someone who would generally play in a bunch of horse tourneys, horse players type stuff to try to work my way into the BCBC. I think there's not, in my opinion, the way I bet, not a ton of value doing that. So I kind of lean myself more towards the live money contests. And, you know, you have a good day in a live money contest and you don't win a seat somewhere, you still have a profitable day and it still turns out well. So some of the other contests online, you may not have any profitability if you don't win a seat somewhere. So the BCBC seats kind of come along with a good day.
I hear that, and we're rooting for you. We're going to be checking in with you throughout the year. Justin, thanks so much for coming on and joining us here today on Horseplayer Happy Hour, and we look forward to chatting with you much more as the season goes on.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff from Justin. Really pleased to have him and Jackson be able to join us. What do you think, Matt? You're, a guy who's won a BCBC. You've been a backer of multiple other BCBC winners, as you've detailed in your book, A Better Way of Thinking, which can be purchased from abetterwayofthinking.com. What did you think of this young guard? When I hear these guys talk, I get excited for the fact that there are these young people who are still so passionate about our sport. But is part of you thinking, yeah, these young guys can go away. I want my time to keep going.
At 52, I don't know which group to identify with. I still feel like one of them, but I look in the mirror and I know that I'm not.
We're not, my friend.
Look, the good news is I've got a friend group that really spans various generations. It speaks volumes to kind of the nature of this game and the kind of friendships you develop. But for that reason, I really don't know where to put myself, because the crew really does span a pretty wide range of ages and doesn't really matter to any of us.
Well, that's a good point. It's just fun to be around people who are passionate about horse racing, no matter what age we're talking about. And, that was evident very much at the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. Also at Ascot, too. I've been able to have great conversations with people young and old who know the work that we do on the In the Money Media YouTube channel, or who see me on Sky Sports Racing /Peacock. That's been fun. Definitely got a few texts from people seeing the Sky coverage. We were this close, my friend, having a nice American winner yesterday with Gabaldon. I think that was our best chance of the week. And he came very close to making it a great one for us. But I will say this, as long as the Americans keep running well, I hope they'll keep inviting me.
I don't think you have to worry too much. You're pretty much an ambassador for the place at this point.
I love to see it. Let's see. We've got some comments here from Mike, friend of Brad Anderson, I assume that is, and Howard Kravitz. Looks forward to meeting you. And boy, I don't know. Did you speak with Howard? We had a great time with him yesterday. I catered our Ascot experience to. It worked out perfectly because it wasn't just Howard and his great pal, who was a terrific guy too, Davey, but we had another pair of non-Royal Enclosure people in the form of Alex Sauceville, who's been a great contributor in the money from the get-go, and his colleague Clementine. They also weren't Royal Enclosure. So I found the best table that's not in the Royal Enclosure, and it's so good that it might be better than many of the tables in the Royal Enclosure. We got to sit right on the horse path as the horses were coming out, and boy, was it a great home base, Matt. I know you saw some of the pictures online, but hopefully Howard had as good of a day as I think he had.
He had a blast. We haven't spoken, so we haven't actually spoken, but we've texted quite a bit. And, it's funny, I kind of told him ahead of time, the best part of this trip is not going to be the racing itself. And I think he came to agree with that. It's kind of everything that went around it. And I think it's the friends. I think it's seeing the facilities. I think it's just taking it all in. I'm not sure it's the betting or the horses specifically. He ate it up like crazy. I think he's going to take a page out of the In the Money book and do essentially, I'll use your term, you've done lifestyle shows around certain locations to go. I think he's going to do something similar with some of his experiences there to give the regular people here who haven't had a chance to do that a sense of what it's like to go talk to one of the punters there and try and negotiate a price and, all that kind of stuff.
He's done things I haven't even done. He's been racing in Spain now, and he's been to the Prix de Diane. So I need to learn from him as well. I will say this about Ask It in general, Matt. Now, having had an amazing opportunity to meet your family on the recent run to Chicago when we were working on the A Better Way of Thinking audiobook, regular book right now available at abetterwayofthinking.com. I can't get that plug in enough. But meeting your family, they were awesome. They would love Ask It. You might need a family trip. This is not your average racing trip. Nothing against racing in the USA, which is awesome and we love, but there's a different level of, if you have people who are interested in people watching and fashion and great sport and gambling, this is kind of where you need to bring them.
I totally agree. And I had the same feeling watching it this year that, look, my family always had a nice time coming with me to Arlington. It was fun sitting outside and good food and all that stuff. Getting them to come with me to a different racetrack for a different event has not been met with a lot of excitement. This event strikes me as an entirely different ballgame, and I can see them loving it.
All right, we're going to bring in the man who has gotten himself out of traffic, and he's in the frame. He's got a hat. I don't know what kind of hat that is, but I'm intrigued to learn more from Jonathan Kinchin. What's up, JK?
That's Giovannina's. I just wasn't going to let you be the only guy with a hat on.
It's post time for this race at Belmont. I did not prep you for this, JK, but you've been on such a roll looking at races and giving us winners here on Horseplayer Happy Hour that if you can look quickly and give us something. But while you look at it for a minute here and recombobulate your thoughts, Matt, what do you got here? Are you back? I'm hoping for your sake you're back to the ones rather than the threes, given the prices.
Yes, so the entry I've got that's in second has the one, and not too spooky. Looking at the prices here, there's not too many horses that are going to do a lot of damage. People like me should be scared about the 2 and the 3, maybe the 4.
Right. Fair enough. JK, did you look at this one at all, or do you want to pick a random?
This is what you call this is the patented fast cap. Everyone's been to the racetrack before. Sometimes you look down, there's minutes to post. My dad made it famous. I'm going to take the 6 Alluring Angel. First time Lasix, CB, first time Chad, for a horse who's had a little bit of ability in the past. That's where I'm going to land.
We're off.
Good break for Breath Away, right towards the front. Has company from Malimu in between horses. Malimu is quickest. It's Malimu who's up by a half length. At the rail will be Towhead. No pressure on for the leader now as they start to back off the pace as they work towards that first turn. That's going to allow Swoop to finish. To join the leader is out in the 3 path, is trying to move in closer. It's Malimu and Dylan Davis. They hug the rail and they're in front. Only by a neck now as here comes the pressure from Junior Alvarado and Swoop to finish. Now these two head and head just off of them. Breath Away is tracking from the 3rd spot. Towhead tightly at the rail is in 4th. Out wider, Bengala Joy wants to move forward from 5th. Second to last will be Rebelita. And the trailer, Alluring Angel. Still head and head as they work up the backstretch now. Malimu's got company to the outside from Swoop to finish. They went 24 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. Breath Away gets a nice journey. Is just stalking the pace setters here from 3rd. At the rail is Towhead, who's now a shared 4th. Bengala Joy is 3 wide in that center grouping. Second to last is now Rebelita, who starts to pick it up, just split rivals in the trailer, Alluring Angel. The front 2 continue to go at it, 48 seconds flat for the half mile time. At the rail, it's Malibu to the outside swoop to finish. Rebelitas made a quick move, and Rebelitas to the outside of Breath Away, who's had the best trip so far. Malibu and swoop to finish kick on. Breath Away is now looming up on the outside and starts to sprint after the leaders, and here comes Breath Away and Arad Ortiz Jr. It's Breath Away, Malibu, very game down towards the inside. Alluring Angel is now launching a late rally. Here comes Alluring Angel to the outside, and Alluring Angel's going to run right on by. Alluring Angel gets the victory. Breath Away second, Rebelita, and Malibu in 1 minute 35.4.
Sometimes the quick cap is the best cap. JK, I don't know what's been gotten into you lately on these shows, but you've been in fuego, and it continues there in a race that I'm guessing you took about 30 seconds to look at.
Yeah, well, look, honestly, Jovina just yelled, I wish we were betting these races. Well, no, here's the thing. Honestly, like this horse, and no offense to the previous connections, right? I mean, I think Jorge Abreu is one of the best turf trainers in the world. We know how we feel about Mike Maker. We joke all the time, Pete, that he could put us in a horse suit and get us to go 1.5 miles on the grass. But I think sometimes when you get that trainer change, especially a trainer change to someone like Chad or Todd or Brad Cox or Bob Baffert, these guys that don't typically get horses moved to them, you can sometimes see an improvement. And first time Lasix for Alluring Angel. And look, I picked all that up in like 27 seconds. So, these fast caps can be wrong more than they're right. But I will say this, and I mean this. I think sometimes, and I believe this, Pete, I think sometimes that because all of us have become so immersed in the game and we've learned so much, and we found every single possible way to win and every single possible way to lose, sometimes we paralyze our brains with too much stuff. And sometimes first thought, best thought.
I have no problem with that idea. I mean, paralysis by analysis is certainly a thing. What do you think, Matt, of that idea about, the corollary is you think long, you think wrong.
I've shared a screen with JK, I think, for a total of 15 seconds in 2 weeks, and he dropped 2 winners in the 15 seconds. I don't understand. That's
Matt,
ridiculous.
those are the only 2 winners I've had in 2 weeks, though. So I'm just hanging out with you a little bit more.
And by the way, I want to go back to something that I caught at the end of last week. Guilty as charged on the chalk. You get way more flack for it, but yeah, I'm about as guilty a chalk eating weasel as possible. I totally
We have a T-shirt for that,
Yes, I do.
I would love to for someone to do the math, and I don't know the right way to do it. This would be a Marshall Graham, Eric Bialik, John Camardo, Matt Miller, Sean Borman, Duke Matisse question. Paul Matisse, of course, as well. But I want to know the percentage of well-meant shorties that win, right? The Knicks Goes of the world and the Breeders' Cup Classics, the American Pharaohs, the Flight Lines, the Goodnight Olives, versus the Tarnawas, the Enables, versus the fancied 7-to-1 shots. I'd love to know the return on investment between those, not the stupid 4-to-5 shots, but the ones that, and I don't know the one that
shots. Yeah, some sort of metric that could evaluate, at an event like the Breeders' Cup would be the place to potentially do it, where you could have data that would be you'd have to come up with some sort of piece of data that represented the signal of, the so-called people who know what they're doing and lay that over short prices versus longer prices and see. I see where you're going with this. It would be interesting.
The elite powers of the world, right? Not so much the I'm surprised this horse is favored. This horse was always going to be odds on from start to finish in a grade 1 race. That's not a prep. That's everyone's showing up to put their best foot forward here. I think those horses win at an alarming rate and more than the cute 7-to-1 shots, but you only got to be right. You know what I mean?
Got to be right a lot less frequently, for sure. Yeah. Another way to just to throw this out there, if there's any data crazy person listening, another way to try to test the signal on this would be look at who the favorite was. If you could find this data, if you could look at the anti-post favorite in the UK a month out, right? Matt, you and I have talked about this. I think it was about Cody's Wish specifically, and you calling me and being Cody's wish. This was 2 years ago. Cody's wish at 7-2. Like, this horse is going to win. Like, how big of a bet can we get down? Like, and then that, that's a piece of data that we could actually potentially analyze if we could capture it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jonathan makes a great point. Not every 4 to 5 shot is the same. It's kind of crazy, actually, when you think of flight line at 2 to 5. There's other 2 to 5 shots that you'll see today that don't look anything like that, and it's the same price. And so, gosh, I mean, looking what you could have gotten at 2 to 5 one time, okay, maybe that was value there. I do think, Jonathan, when it comes to, you really have to distinguish tournaments and cash for what you're saying, because I do think the tournament data is there, and these tournaments are not being won lately by long shot pickers. It's just, there's not that many majors. You can just look at them and see how many of them were won by, big crazy prices. There's very, very few these days that are being won that way, at least at the tippy top. Maybe that's not true with other levels, but at least in the BCBC, it's not huge prices. But I'd say in cash they're critical.
Yeah, I think that I've long believed that the everyday players, right? Like and I like I said, I've been the knee to those who, and I'll never accept when someone says, "Oh, you're a professional horse player." No. I am not a professional horse player. Sean Borman's a professional horse player. The Matisse brothers, professional horse players, put food on the table based on their intelligent wagering and being smart. Those guys, I understand why they, can sit around and stick around for 7 to 1s and have to be EV types and you have to be smart about it. But I think in the contest world, the one thing that I feel like maybe people are catching on to, you look at what Drew did, you look at what Sean did, you look at what you did, what Marshall did, my 2 seconds, man, it's not so much about the horses. It's about the willingness to part from the money and not treating it like actual cash that you can put in your pocket and pay your mortgage with. If you treat it that way, I've always said there's only 100 people in the room that can win the BCBC. That's probably being generous.
That's high.
It's less about that than it is about finding smart places to put all of your money. Whether it be a flight line or a Nick Go or whatever it is, it's finding dependable or Monomoy Girl for Marshall and I both, I think, made big wagers that year on Monomoy Girl, finding smart places to put your money. I mean, it's simply not about finding a 27 to 1 shot that you love. It's just not.
That's a way to do it. But Matt, I'll let you speak on this, and then I'm putting you both on ice while we bring in the champ. But for a minute here, we need to follow up on this idea.
Hold on. You did not tell me that he was going to be on, because if I would have known, there's a 0% chance I would have participated in this show.
Well, I thought you were going to say there was a 0% chance you'd have talked so nice about him.
No. And as soon as my wife finds out he's on, she's gonna storm into the. There's no one she loves more than some Sean Boardman.
Going to push you right out of the way and talk to the general. But I did think that point, though, that Jonathan made about, a lot. It's very easy. There she is. How are you? You should be here, Giovanina. This is your kind of event, this Ask It, especially Ladies' Day. We're going to make it happen soon. But I do want to get back to that one point before we put you guys on ice about, I guess I think among a lot of the, I'm going to call them the theoretical cognoscenti of horse racing, there is this, and I get it, like there should be a veneration about the ability to pick a long shot. But ROI, the ability to pick long shots, I think at the end of the day, for the average horse player and for the tournament player specifically, Matt, there is something to be said for strike rate that I think is actually kind of underrated by a lot of people who are in the know. True or false?
Absolutely true. You lose the BCBC, you have to wait an entire year to get your chance again. And so do you really want to be frittering that chance away on a handful of crazy long shots? For me, again, it's not that I just need favorites necessarily, but I want to feel like I have a good chance, that I'm giving myself a chance for my strategies to work. And by taking high expected value but low strike rate plays, that works for professional cash betting, but in a tournament, I would just take winning over losing far more than value or any of those other metrics that I think, like you properly said, apply far more to the professional than in the tournament context.
Very kind comment from a very sharp player in Chris Couples, who's enjoying this sort of high-level discussion of tournament strategy and the relationship between ROI and strike rate, something we're going to be talking about a lot more on these shows throughout the year and also on BCBC Diaries. With that said, guys, you're going to we're gonna take you out for a minute, and we're gonna bring in a man who I'm very excited to get a chance to catch up with, because it's been a minute, but we did do some fun stuff around the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga that got a lot of notice. There's no better way to start our series of interviews with the BCBC Diaries than with the reigning record-breaking Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge champion. He comes to us from Lexington, Kentucky. He is Sean Borman. Sean, how are things?
Good, man. How are you?
Things are good. Very excited over here at Ask It. This is an event that you and your family would enjoy as well. I'm going to give you the strong arm to make it over here one of these years, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm here to ask you about how your reign as BCBC champion is going. Was this a life-changing event for you?
Yeah, I mean, financially, certainly. I don't know, other than just calling myself the champ and bullshitting around like that. I don't know really how life-changing it was in that regard, but I mean, you saw me afterwards, you know how much it meant to me, to win that thing, but I don't know if it was life-changing other than the money.
This was an event that was on your radar for a long time. You're a professional horse player. You've been grinding at this for a couple of decades. The idea that a contest could validate everything you'd done in those previous years, I'm curious to ask you about that. Like, it must have meant something in terms of just, rather than toiling in anonymity, to be able to get some public recognition. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because almost everything we do is totally anonymous. It's there isn't big public recognition for what we do, and a lot of times when there is public recognition, it's negative. I know you and I have talked a lot about in my past where people look down on what we do for a long time. It's only been in the last few years that society has really embraced gambling. So to be able to go through all that and finally get some public recognition at an event like that, like the BCBC, it felt great.
I assume the BCBC is on your radar this year. What do you think your chances are to defend your title?
I mean, honestly, I was listening to you and Matt and JK talk about how many possible winners are sitting in that room. I don't think it's anywhere near 100. I think it's probably closer to 20. And I think honestly, I think I should be favored to win it if there was a betting line. But that's a little ego and just a little, I think like last year, I'm not gonna have to make an all-in bet to win it. Like, I'm not gonna have to put all my money at risk because I know I can bet intelligently if I have to, and come up with a way to walk out of there with good money and still have a chance to win it, by using a smart wagering strategy. So and some people, I just don't know if they can do that. So I'm absolutely going to play it. Hope to do well, but like it's a gamble like everything else. I mean, I could very well end up at zero and probably will, but I think I'd have to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite.
You've opened a very interesting can of worms to talk about in terms of the difference between your strategy as a professional as opposed to what we've heard on our airwaves from Matt Miller and JK in terms of people who more they have other jobs, they have other sources of income. This is their passion, this is their hobby. They can approach it a little bit differently. I want to go back to the specifics of your win. You didn't push all in at the end, but you did have to push all in. So, I mean, you must agree with them, at least to some degree, that ability to bet in an unfettered way is, if not a necessity, a very important club to have in your bag.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at some point in that thing, you probably do have to risk your bankroll. And, that's sort of an individual decision everybody's going to have to make at what point they're comfortable doing that. And I think I said this on our recap pod, but like there was no chance in hell that I was gonna, have the ability to leave there with well over $100,000 and then piss all that away and come home and say, well, I was really fucking close, honey, but I just lost 30,000 this weekend instead of winning, what was in the bank already, 120 plus prize money. Like that's just not that's not a possibility. Like, like what JK was saying, like I do have bills to pay and this is how I make my money. And that, that's just not going to happen for me. But, for me, I think last year, I bought in 2 entries. So I was already possibly losing 20,000 if things broke wrong. And, so at that point, risking the 34 on the all-in White Barrio bet wasn't that big a deal to me but once you got up to 100, 6 figures plus, that's when I decided I'm not going to do it. And I didn't think I needed to do it based on the opinion I had in the last race.
That's a great
And that's
point.
the important part, because if you have no opinion, quite frankly, as the defending champion, like if I look at this sequence in November and just absolutely hate it and don't think I have any edge at all, I'm not going to play. Because I can only win it with my opinions. I'm not going to get to a point where, if I have one opinion on Friday, but really nothing on Saturday, and I get up to where I've got, 40, 50,000, say, I'm not going to risk 50,000 on a math bet because the math tells me to. I don't want to be in that position. So unless I have opinions, I think that can get me there. That's what I did last year. I just plotted my way based on what opinions I had on Saturday, and I knew I could get there if I was right. If I don't know that, I may not play.
This is something we haven't publicized, Sean, and I hope you don't mind my saying it, but you did have the opportunity to be backed for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge last year. And your opinions were such that you decided you didn't want to do that. I mean, that to me is a fascinating angle of the story that we haven't really delved into it all.
Yeah, I turned it down. Probably, I'm sure my backers didn't love that, but getting in position the year Drew won it and coming that close like that told me I knew how to win the thing. And then once I started thinking about it, and I went back and looked at like the last 6 Breeders' Cups maybe, and just sort of objectively took the opinions I had on those days and just ran like dry runs based on the $7,500 bankroll. Like if I did this and this and this, the American Pharaoh year, what would have happened? What would my ending total be if I did this and this? And it was all very simple stuff, like what you guys were just talking about. Like it wasn't, it was just bets on logical winners that I had strong opinions on. And, when I did those, I think the worst I would have done was, finish second if I would have just executed that strategy. And I was just like, I have strong opinions on those weekends almost every year. And if I would have, played them better in the past, I could have won it previously, I think. But that sort of taught me, like I knew, by by September, I knew I could win the thing. I didn't think I could win anymore. I knew I could. Didn't know I would. But then when the offer to get some financial backing came around, I just, I didn't want to have to pay off, $150,000, $250,000 to somebody just to win the contest. I wanted that to be my score and my, benefit my family. And so I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. And, it worked out.
Let's talk about the big race, which I'm assuming we're going to call the last race this year, which was the Breeders' Cup Sprint. When we do the BC Diaries, we'll show this up on the screen. Talk me through what was going through your mind as you watched this race unfold.
Oh, as I watched the race, I really, really strongly disliked Speedboat Beach. I thought he was just way overbet and was bad speed. And I thought, was it Gunite or Gunit? Who was which gun horse was it? Was Gunite, right? Okay. So I thought Gunite would be best of speed, and I thought Elite Power that there wasn't a bad pace scenario for that horse. He had enough tactical speed to be close if they would slow and had the best finish. He could deep close and had the best finish. So I just thought, there was nowhere he could be that really put him in a bad spot. And so I just said, he's going to win and Gunite's going to run second. And when they're going down the backside, when Elite Power made that little move up into the race, like into the backside, right into the turn, I said to myself, this bet is fucking money. Like, cause I knew Speedboat Beach would quit. And then, when they spun for home, I would have bet $1 million I was going to cash that exactly.
Great stuff, Sean. That's the way it came out. You needed that fade. Was it Speedboat Beach you needed to fade to make it happen? Was it exactly to your opinion?
Yeah. I needed him out. I needed just him to stop. And his late pace numbers, like he wasn't going to stick around in that race, really under any pace scenario. But when Elite Power made that move and got close enough to gun it or Gunite, I knew he would go past him too. And that, I didn't foresee the one horse running as big as it did. But I never really thought he could split me. So yeah, that's what was going through my mind. And then after that went through my mind, it was, well, how much did this fucking exacta go down from when I bet it? Because I just fully anticipated it to get crushed, like things typically do nowadays to go down. But I think it actually may have clicked up like 10 cents or something. But
Sean, great having you on here. We'll check in with you throughout
sir.
the year. Will you do any qualifying attempt? Oh, there's JK. Will you do any qualifying this year, or are you just buying in?
No, I think I will. I need to. The Breeders' Cup actually just sent out a list of the upcoming contests that qualify, so I'll probably play in one or two. But I'm probably not going to do many. Keeneland Fall, I'll definitely play that.
Well, we'll be talking to you soon, Sean. Appreciate you having me on here today, and we'll check in with you throughout the season.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.
Sean, where's Sean going? Where are you going?
I don't see you have to leave.
I don't.
I just wanted to let him go.
PTF was kicking me out. I don't know.
But he can stay. You want to hang around?
Are you cooking dinner tonight, Sean?
No, I'm not cooking it. We're leftovers tonight.
I'm cooking dinner tonight, I think.
That's
a bad idea in your household.
No, G yelled no. I mean,
What would that look like? Hot dogs?
What would you cook?
DoorDash.
That's probably what I'm going to do.
Yeah, exactly. We just got back from Connecticut, Sean. We took Austin to go eat Pepe's Pizza in Connecticut.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, we did the pizza tour. Yeah, so
classic New Haven. Well, I know your better half knows all about that, being raised in that area. I need some tips from her on the New Haven pizza scene. I'm partial to Brooklyn, but I don't want to be a snob about it.
You're lucky she didn't hear you say that.
Sorry. How long have you been in that monkey suit today?
Since 9 o'clock in the morning. It's at least I took the jacket off. Fun day over there today, though. We all need to make that happen. It is a fun trip, boys. Hey, I have a horse in this next race, and I think I have a chance. I don't know if anybody handicapped it, but yeah, Gem Mint 10 is one of my Delphi Racing Club horses who I think fits pretty well in this spot. But JK, as hot as you've been, we should just ask you, who's going to win the race?
Well, sometimes when you fast cap, you just go with what you got in front of you. And since tomorrow I'm releasing Ray Handel, JK +1, I'll go with you.
Nice. I'm not sure that's the right reason, but we'll take it. How was Ray? I mean, I'm a big fan of the guy. He speaks very well about the process of training. We've had him on shows before. I assume he was a good guest for you.
Yeah, he's awesome. And the funny thing about Ray is that if you don't know this already, and I don't want to spoil it, but he talks about it a little bit. He's Jamaican, from Jamaica, lived there for a significant part of his life. And if you poke him a little bit, he'll do the whole patois Jamaican thing. He doesn't like to do it. He said they always make fun of him because he doesn't look like he's Jamaican, obviously. But it was fun. It was fun to catch up with him. And he talked about some horses he was excited about. And he talked a little bit about just some of his ideas on claiming horses and how some of the things you can do to kind of change their form, which I think is always interesting to horse players.
Definitely. I mean, one thing I've noticed about Ray Handel horses on the claim, especially, he seems to have a way to get more speed into them, which is obviously, when it comes to USA racing, something that's very much of a desired ability.
He literally said that in the show. The quote was, "We train our horses for speed." Yeah. And so, Pete, although you look like you know what you're talking about with that outfit on, it sounds like you actually might know what the hell you're talking about.
Cheers.
He's also a terrific trainer for these syndicates. He does so well in talking to regular people in an understandable way that when you get to go to the backside and meet him, it's just really understandable, and it's a great experience. So, good guy.
That's a great point. I mean, communication is one of the sort of hidden skills of a horse trainer these days. There's that idea, Sean, when, Mike, this is a Mike Maloney thing that I'm sure you're familiar with, the difference between the front side trainer and the backside trainer. I feel like Ray does a good job of both. For the uninitiated, Sean, tell us the difference between a front side trainer and a backside trainer.
I got to be honest, I'm not sure I know. That may be a
well, just like
either
the backside trainer would be the guy who is like much more comfortable talking to horses than people. And then the front side trainer is the guy who's there in the clubhouse in the fancy suit, like getting clients. I mean, I think that's essentially the idea. And these days, the guys have to do both,
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I will say this. While I'll be rooting for Gem Mint 10, Ray Handel, and you as well, PTF, I think the one's interesting.
Hey, let's hear the case.
I agree, JK.
Yeah, I think the one's interesting. The horse hasn't run since November, so you're going to get that 3 to 4 jump. We talk about the 2 to 3 jump all the time, the 2-year-old to 3-year-old jump. But I think the 3 to 4 is sneaky too. And I always reference these two horses, and I'm not saying that slap in the face or these horses, but like think about what happened with Frosted and what happened with Gunrunner, right? They were good horses when they were 3, but they were outstanding horses when they were 4. It's a jump that we don't often see with good horses, and I think it's one that you don't want to ignore.
I think that's a great point, Jonathan. And it's almost to me like 2 to 3 is high school to college, and 3 to 4 is college to the pros. And I mean, how many players, to date myself, the first one that leapt to mind was Shaquille O'Neal, which is, a bit of a dated reference, but like things can really change as you grow up that little extra bit. And I think that's true with horses too.
I'm going with the one official pick. I mean, I'm rooting for you, Pete. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go one official pick.
You stink. You should have picked me. No, I think it's a good pick. I mean, at 7 to 1, that horse is being bet exactly the right way. Let's hope it comes to 8-1. How's that?
It would help.
Okay,
me.
No. I mean, I'd prefer to go 1-8. Because I
want to get in the winner's circle with this horse, though. He's been so good.
I have horrible news for you. I know you probably had a few drinks today. You're not going to get in the winner's circle because you're in another country.
That's fair point. But I was going to zoom in, but you don't think if they're not going to let me do that, it's not going to work out. I mean, I'm still I'm still in the double digits of drinks, JK. Let's be
Hold on.
fair.
Before they break, did you guys see Frank Miramati on Price is Right?
Amazing.
They're up.
Very slowly was off last.
You got to watch it.
Speed to the inside from slapping.
You'll tell us about that after.
Slap in the face, but has plenty of company.
All right,
from
let's
the
see if we can
outside
get a
draws.
winner here.
Comes Laurel Valley, the thrill of victory.
He's in a
Clearly
great
next.
spot.
Joining them is Gem Mint 10. It's
A little
Laurel
wide,
Valley.
but I mean, that's
Season's
fine.
Command. Laurel Valley is up by a full length now.
No
Gem
excuses.
Mint 10 is to the outside of the thrill of victory as their second and third. The Paddock Pastor wants to go, is very rank here, working to the back stretches in fourth. To the outside comes Sonic Speed, who's in fifth. Then at the rail, there's Better Lucky Than Good, who's now in sixth. And behind them comes Slap in the Face, who's seventh. Back to eighth is going to be Easy Roll.
I mean, no
Behind
complaints
them
about the
comes
trip.
Provision. The two at the back, Shinsen with Financial District. They work up the backstretch here, 23 and 4. For that opening quarter mile unopposed, it's Laurel Valley.
Moving
Laurel
along
Valley's
in
got
an
the lead with
easy
Gem
beat.
Mint 10 in stalking position from second. At
Don't
the rail,
go
the
too
thrill of
quick, though.
victory. Also chasing there is Sonic Speed. Now more settled is the Paddock Pastor, is in the fifth position in between horses.
Don't
Then at
set
the rail
sail
is Better
too
Lucky
quick.
Than Good, trying to make up some ground from the back as well. Slap in the Face is starting to pick up, and then Easy Roll, Provision, Shinsen.
Go on,
Trails
my
Financial
son.
District, 47.59 for the half mile time. Laurel Valley is still there. It's Laurel Valley. Gem Mint 10 is ready to pounce towards the outside. Also shoved along is the thrill of victory. The rest with some running to do. Better Lucky
finish
Than
up,
Good is now
son.
in the clear. Laurel Valley is still there. It's
Yeah.
Laurel Valley. Better Lucky Than Good is rolling on the grandstand side, though. Here comes Better Lucky Than Good. It's Laurel Valley who's got the lead.
Frustrating.
Better Lucky Than Good with every stride moving in closer. Better Lucky Than Good to the outside. Late run here, Easy Roll. Better Lucky Than Good at 11-1. Better Lucky Than Good wins it over Laurel Valley. Easy Roll.
Funny name
Slap
to
in the
win
face.
in the
It's
last
limited
race,
41
Matt Miller, for
and
you,
0.
given some of the things you talk about in the book. A better way of thinking, rather than complain about how poorly my horse just ran there, I want to ask you about that concept of the relationship between being lucky and being good.
Well, it's a completely amazing name because that's the last chapter where, yeah, I admit to sometimes getting way luckier than being better, but in the end, I think we conclude, why should you have to pick and why can't it be both? So look, at JK, it's not that I'm sitting here just trying to kiss ass the entire time. I don't know what's going on. I need to come on these shows with you and just listen more carefully. I've never heard anything like it in terms of you just going through these horses. You mentioned that one before too, so well done.
Well, the Delphi got another win. Delphi got a win though. That was on a Delphi horse, just
That's right.
for
Just not mine.
Yeah, well, Pete, you're being very selfish right now. You're being very selfish, very self-centered.
No, it's okay. I mean, things happen, but I mean, for my horse, I mean, you don't. I mean, when you travel every inch the winner and go away that tamely, that's a problem. And we'll have to see what the story
what was
is.
What they run? They ran a mile and a 16th. Yeah, I mean, you know what though? The one thing about New York, I will say this, is that I think the configurations are so significantly different from every racetrack that I think that you can take a deep breath and hope that maybe you get to Saratoga, the horse will like the Widener, like the Inner, blah 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 blah. But there's,
My trip note on my horse for that race would be one that you would never bet back. It would be no finish. True or false, Sean?
100%. First to quit, no finish.
It was horrible. But hey, that's life in the big city. It ain't easy to win these races. There's no sugarcoating it sometimes. And, it pays to be objective because that enables you to make better decisions.
Well, and that might be a horse that messes up this tournament for quite a bit of people. That's a nice price on the end, and we'll have to see what's all the price.
Shall we take a look into the does anybody have the who played what screen up? We can go and take a look.
I do. So Sean O'Malley, who was in second, clearly is going to win.
The fighter Sean O'Malley?
I think that I didn't say Sugar Sean, but I'm with you.
Oh, okay, Sugar Sean.
Chris Couples, who's in our chat, was in 8th place, also had the 2 horse, so I'd have to imagine he's going to jump up to second. And I'm just looking down the list of people who had the 2. Michael Domabil, Andrew Uretsky, Anthony Spinazzola. You're going to make me keep saying names, aren't you? Don Marquardt.
You're doing great. A lot of regulars there. Oh, I didn't realize Jackson was so high up. Let's say, I mean, I would assume he'll still hang on to. Well, let me go back. It's hard when you produce yourself.
So, I mean, it's what I said before. How if you're within 50th place, I think you're close enough to be within striking position. This might have been enough to just knock me out of 16th. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how many people jump up. But this was a nice pick.
Yeah, I'm trying to take a look down and see. I feel like you might grimly hang on, but we'll know a lot more. We'll know a lot more in a minute, and we'll share that final leaderboard.
I fell to. So I'm in the dirt with everybody else pretty much, but it's done. So it's what I said. Sean O'Malley won. You have it up yet?
Yeah, it's there.
Perfect.
Well, let's see. So, all right. Well, we do have some in the money representation here. So we got a lot of in the money representation actually. So the top 10 will win tour points for Horseplayer Happy Hour Tour. Goes 10-1. Sean O'Malley, Chris Couples, Michael Domable, Andrew Uretsky, Anthony Spinazzola, Don Marquardt. I don't know this name, so it's harder for me to read. Is it Michael Saletta? William McMillan, James Millar, who's a regular who did so well last week, and Justin Christine. I mean, it's almost freakish how many people who are in this top 10 are on the In the Money Media payroll. God bless them. Good. My loss was their gain, clearly. So, good for them with that. And then Christopher Olson, JK, remember we ran into him at the lobby at Monmouth recently. Jackson Muniz does get to go to advance to the Saturday tournament. John Van Neal, same thing. Chris Couples again. Jeff Andree, total tournament regular. Michael Oldham and Andrew Uretsky normally finishing 17th. This would be a massive bummer, but less so when you also finished 4th. So some great results there for the team as far as this second week of Horseplayer Happy Hour goes. Boys, I think we've done all we can do. We can keep yapping if you want. I mean, we got a lot of people watching. So if anybody has anything they want to moot for discussion, we can. But otherwise, I can send it home whenever.
Let's just tell everyone they have 9 minutes for questions. And if they don't send any, then we'll peace out. But let's see if anyone has any.
I like that, JK. I like that.
9 minutes. 9 minutes.
We'll do a
Sean's yawning. Sean's got Hong Kong.
I tried to let him go. You guys insisted he stay. I mean, hey.
No, I'm constantly worn out nowadays, boys. we had a late swim meet last night, but
those are tough.
I'm going to ask you, how are things going with the girls heading into the summer? What are the plans for the kids?
I'll tell you what, man. Maggie, the 10-year-old, she's had sort of a rough go of things. She got some weird virus that morphed into pneumonia.
Oh no!
But then last night at the swim meet, it was her first meet of the season because she had missed like 2 weeks, and she hadn't been able to practice much, and she went out there and just fucking dominated. I mean, four races, 4 blue ribbons, like dropped time off all of her swims. I mean, it was so fun to see.
Was there a rail bias?
No, she did it from lane 1 and 7 and 4. I mean, there was. I mean, I kid you not. Like, I'm gonna brag on her. I kid you not. Like, I took videos of all her swims to send to her grandparents, and like at the end of the videos, there weren't even other swimmers in the frame. Like, she just kicked their ass.
Nice.
So she's pumped up.
While we wait for questions, if any, let's talk about our children's other plans for the summer. Matt, how are your girls fixed for summer in the Midwest? Are they staying out of the way of the cicadas?
That is starting to calm down a little bit. I'll go back to Sean for a second, though, and say those swim meets, from a cost-benefit standpoint, you sit there forever. And unless you get a good performance like that, those are really tough to walk away feeling good about. It's a long
and it was about 90 degrees yesterday and just muggy, and it was. They can go for a long time.
Well, that's funny. I had a daughter who did those. She ended up finishing her swimming career very average, which I think we're very happy with. She was one of the kids in the beginning that would get clapped out of the pool, not in a good way.
So was Maggie, actually. Yeah,
And
she
on average,
was.
we were quite happy with that. I'm sure she'll be delighted that I'm telling everybody this.
Jim's comment is priceless. Congrats to your daughter, Sean. Imagine the improvement that will happen from 10 to 11.
You never know. I mean, she could do something.
Oh, that's great. What's Austin up to this summer, JK?
Oh my God. So we're in the city. We went to a Yankees game the other night. He likes to go to the subway and look for rats.
Well,
Nice.
he'll find a lot of them on the
He
plus
just goes
side.
in there and just like looks for rats. And then basically, him and Jovanine have been picking on me a little bit, which is wild, to be honest.
I mean, did you see the hat you
what
just had on, dude?
Why
Like,
should they be different than the rest of us? Is my question
Yeah.
for you.
What did you say, Shawnee?
So did you see the hat you just had on? Like, how are you not going to get picked on?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's weird. But so we're having a great time. He loves the city. We've been got Peking Duck. We've been going to fun dinners. We've done with the museum PTF. Like I told you, we rounded out that anniversary of the Natural History Museum, and basically, I'm just trying to duck the insults from my wife and my son. That's what I'm hanging out doing.
Fantastic. Karen is over at Hever Castle. She's in the other side of the city. She's obsessed with Tudor history, but she did come with me yesterday. So she went with Susan to work on Tuesday and was apparently bored out of her mind, and then went with me to work on Wednesday. And her line that I hope Susan never hears is, "Daddy, why is your work so much cooler than Mommy's?"
Well, I mean, there's like the prince of the world was there the other day. It's a different animal, right?
It's a little bit different. Now we had a fun time, and I have to say, Matt, Howard and Davey were wonderful with her, entertaining her with, Davey had some good Alexander Hamilton trivia, which always goes over well, and Howard was very impressed with her 99 on the math test. So we had a good experience. There's the man, Austin. How are you doing? I like your hat, but it would be better if it was orange and blue.
This is the color we were looking for. This is the we're just trying to survive. This is the one he picked. So this is his first fitted hat. So we had to finally 7 1/4. Big-headed little joker.
Are you serious? That's like a grown-ass man.
Yeah, 7 1/4.
That is a proper hat size. I love it.
Tell them how you've been handicapping the rats in the subway.
Oh yeah.
We've been looking for him. He found a black and white one the other day.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen that. They're usually just sort of like a generic gray.
We found a black and white one, Pete. We're out here just trying to change the game.
I love it. You might need a New York subway rat Instagram, Austin. You could, or YouTube channel. You could make some money off this obsession.
Yeah,
probably. There was a big thing in Chicago with the dead rat. There was apparently when they were laying cement, a rat died as they laid the cement, and there was what they called the rat hole that people just came to revere. They would put coins in the little rat hole. The city at some point declared it a problem, and I think they put over it, but people still went to recreate it. Just this super cool spot where this rat died right in the middle of cement.
And I thought Jimmy Hoffa in Giant Stadium was something. This is taking it to the next level.
Well, you gotta do. Oh, so I will say this to the racing fans. So Austin has been to a lot of racetracks. Okay, he's been to Gulfstream, sat in a suite. He's been to Keeneland, sat in the green room. He's been to Santa Anita, sat in the Eddie Logan. He's been to Saratoga and sat everywhere you could imagine. It's Saratoga. He's been to Belmont Park, and he's also taken the A train to Aqueduct. Last week was his inauguration to Aqueduct. He goes, "Dad, this is a little bit different."
But did Andy Serling pontificate to him the whole time? That's what I really want to know, JK.
No, Andy said, "Oh, your dad's here on time because you're with him."
Not an untrue observation from the little guy, I've got to say. Hey, here's a great comment from Chris, who just hung up with his youngest, who's at our follow-up from St. Jude. Everything is perfect. That is better news than any pick six. Great stuff, Chris. So glad to hear that. Excellent news. We're coming to the end of this week's version of Horseplayer Happy Hour, but please come join us next week. Horseplayers.com. We play every Thursday. We're going to probably keep this all NYRA thing going for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to branch out and do a combination of Saratoga and Del Mar. And we're going to I want to try to do it where the whole contest takes place during the show. We'll see if we get that going on, but that's the plan as it stands now. For Sean Borman, for Matt Miller, for JK, for Jackson Muniz, for Justin Mustari, for everybody watching us here today. What a fun experience this was. We're going to do it again next week. I'll be in Scotland. If you think I'm drunk now, wait till you see me next week. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatel. May you win all your photos.